And so each business does not stand out as well as they otherwise could have. They do not get their value proposition as well defined or as well highlighted and promoted as it could have otherwise been. Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Content About Content. It's the podcast designed to make you feel more content and confident about all your content creation, content management, content marketing, content everything activities. I'm your host, Jen Robson. I'm the founding director of Engage Agency. It's a content agency based in New South Wales, Australia, and we work for brands that you know, love and trust, like PayPal, like Adobe, like Grab, and a whole bunch more. So let's get stuck in. Today, I do want to talk to you about finding an ideal content agency or copywriting freelancer, content marketing freelancer, finding the right people to work with. And I think that this is really an important topic for marketers to really think about. Obviously, the best way to find a great agency or a great freelancer is through referrals, finding out who people you trust have worked with before and seeing what they do and seeing if they fit with you. And if someone you love working with loves working with someone else, then that is often the best way to go. However, for a lot of people, they don't have that opportunity. They don't normally get out and talk about, oh, I've been working with this agency, or, oh, I've been working with this freelancer. And it's not really a question that you ask all the time. Hey, who are you working with? And especially at social events, you don't want to be talking about work. So if you don't have referrals available to you, how do you work out who you want to be working with? So I'm going to start here with an unpopular opinion. I feel like that should have some kind of alarm or something, alert, a siren to warn you. Unpopular opinion. I don't know. Let's do that. Unpopular opinion. That's my new siren. Feel free to, hit up and leave us a review on how amazing that siren is. I think it's awesome. I haven't heard it played back yet, but we'll see. So unpopular opinion. A lot of copywriters, a lot of content agencies niche down. They specialize in working with only one kind of company. They only work with one industry. And that, for them, makes things easier. And a lot of businesses will go, oh, they work with my industry. They know what I do. And so they just make sense. Here's my unpopular opinion. Don't hire those people. So when you think about it, when you are working with people internally, you get to know certain terms, certain things about the business, certain expectations. There's insider knowledge. There's a lot of acronyms that your audience don't know. So if you were to say to someone at the dinner party, our TPV is way down, we're not hitting our ROAS goal, if we don't boost the AOV or ACLV, we're just not going to make it. The average person at your dinner party will have absolutely no idea what you just said. A freelancer or an agency that specializes in your area will understand you perfectly. Problem is, that freelancer or that content agency or any agency that you work with for content who understands you perfectly has also had to step back from your audience. So it makes it a little bit easier for you to brief them in. They totally get what it is that you're saying. You don't have to explain all these acronyms or explain how certain products or functionalities will work. You don't have to explain some of the laws and regulations around certain things. So that feels easier. It takes less time. But these people are so close to your product that they also haven't taken that step back. They also have got that terminology so ingrained that they have a little bit more difficulty going, well, hang on, the audience doesn't know this. The audience might get confused by this. The audience might be turned off by us using these words, these terms, this insider knowledge. And that's why when you hire someone who is not so intimately involved in that industry or in that functionality or in that service area, business type, whatever it is, you get fresh eyes. Think about whenever you have someone new come into the business and they can give you new perspectives because they're not so involved yet. And that's what a freelancer or a content agency who is not specializing in your industry can bring you to. And that is invaluable. The other thing that you want to think about is, do you really want to be working with someone who is working with your competitors? What are they taking? Like, perhaps, almost definitely not intentionally. I'm not going to say that people are, immoral, because they're not. People generally have good intentions. But what are they taking from their conversations with you, their projects with you, that they're then applying unconsciously or without really thinking to projects with your competitors? Or what are they taking from your competitors that they're then applying to you to make you almost, you're giving away free stuff to your competitors without meaning to, without the people you're working with meaning to either. It just happens. And B, you end up becoming a little bit same. There are some industries in particular where you have really small businesses. They tend to hire the same person. So you might have one person who, I don't know, out of the top of my head, maybe real estate, because real estate, they do tend to really niche down. So maybe you have someone who works in luxury real estate and they work for a whole range of real estate brands in luxury real estate. And I've seen it where between 2 or 3 companies, their email nurture series, when you inquire about a property, whether it's renting or owning or whatever it is, a whole bunch of these different agencies, they're different companies, but they have the same emails. Very, very minor differences. Just because this one person has done them, they have the same kind of flow, they have the same order of messages, they basically a cookie cutter email series that one to the next. Slightly changed for individual businesses, not as changed as they should have been. And so each business does not stand out as well as they otherwise could have. They do not get their value proposition as well defined or as well highlighted and promoted as it could have otherwise been. And it gets that disillusionment among consumers because they're like, well, they're all the same. What's the difference? Why would I go with one over the other? None of them really care about me. They're all just using the same things and the same stuff. So in that regard, you just don't want to be using people who are working with your competitors. Not if you can avoid it. That said, who do you want to be working with? And how do you find the right person when you don't have references or you don't know exactly who it is that you should be working with? That is a very, very important question, a very, very good question. Often it is a case of wanting to look at people's case studies or their testimonials or things like that. Testimonials, everyone wants testimonials. Everyone wants to look for testimonials. But you need to think about, how are these testimonials acquired? Think about, how did they choose which ones to display? Think about, how many testimonials did they collect before getting these 5 or 10 or however many they have put on their website? How truthful are these testimonials? Do they even exist? I've come across people where I'm like, damn, that's a really good testimonial. And I've Googled the person who apparently given it, and they don't exist. So, you need to really take testimonials with a grain of salt, unless you're looking at testimonials that are gathered through things like Trustpilot or other external pieces where there's some validity to it and less ability for the business owner to choose and select and pay for, whether in actual money or competition or however it is that they do it. There's less ability for them to put their best face forward and hide the bad shit. So you need to think about, are testimonials always worth looking at? Same with case studies. Case studies are fantastic. You want to be looking at case studies if they exist. But then there are some people who work with amazing companies who are really limited by the companies that they work with in terms of what they can actually say. We have a lot of difficulty, for instance, here at Engage, getting permission to publish any kind of case studies and any real results. Simply because the people that we work with, the companies that we work with, they're very quite tight-lipped around these things, and they do that for a reason. So that impacts on the agency that you're working with as well, or that they're working with. So some agencies may not have case studies, and that doesn't mean they're bad. Some agencies may have, or freelancers, a lot of case studies, and those case studies may be glowing. But it's like with testimonials, there's a question of, are they real? Maybe, probably, hopefully. Are they enhanced? fleshed out to be a little bit more fabulous than you otherwise thought? Has there been some kind of incentive to the person giving the testimonial? This happens a lot more with consumer-focused products and with very, very small business clients, because when you're looking at very, very large businesses, there are controls around giving of case studies and obviously a lot more view into what people publish about them. So, they're not always reliable. Sorry about that. That's not great news, is it? But, you still do want to be looking at that. What you do want to be looking at, the absolute one thing you really, really, really want in an agency or a freelancer that you work with for your content. That is, who have they written for? I don't mean their clients, I mean their audiences. So there are a lot of writers who only do B2B, a lot of writers who only do B2C, a lot that only do product-based stuff, a lot that only do SaaS or services. And you want to think about who is the end user, who is the end audience that they're writing for. Because while you can do multiple, and in fact, I do multiple, we as an agency do service multiple clients and multiple audiences, there's a familiarity that you grow with working for a similar audience. So if, for instance, you are a business that serves other businesses, a B2B writer or someone who has good experience in B2B writing is a good choice over someone who has experience only writing for consumers. The reason for that is that they have got to know different aspects of writing for businesses. They've got to know that it's more than just a personal goal that the audience is looking at. They're looking at their business goals. They're looking at the decision maker in the business, their individual goals and how things align there. So they understand more what's going on. And the same, you want to think about what kind of businesses they've written for. Are they only writing for tiny solopreneurs, or are they experienced at writing for enterprise? Because there's a massive difference in what those audiences are looking for. If you think about the, chief of marketing for an enterprise global business and what they're looking for in a solution or what they're looking for in a service compared to the mum and dad shop that only services the local area. Maybe they do catering for small businesses in the local area. They both are thinking about their KPIs, their goals, their business, but the scope of focus and the way they approach these decisions and the different stakeholders that are involved in those decisions, they are different, and they're significantly different. And so working with someone who understands a little bit more about who your audience is, you won't have exactly the same audience as another business that they've worked for and that they've written for, but you'll have an audience that has some characteristics in common and they can apply and transfer that knowledge for. By the same token, you don't want to be necessarily hiring someone who specializes in enterprise B2B customers or clients and hire them to sell, fidget spinners. They're totally out of style now. What's the new style? I don't know. I still have it. Well, it's a fidget gadget, not a fidget spinner. But you don't want to be hiring someone who works most of their career writing for, the CMOs, the CFOs, the CEOs of global corporations. You don't want to hire them to sell fidget spinners to, the 14-year-olds in the audience. It's a completely different audience and it's a completely different intention behind it. So you want to think about who they've written for. Of course, a good writer can write for anyone, but it takes them longer to get to know the audience. It takes them longer to get into their head, and it takes them longer to just get the great stuff out there. It takes a lot more thought. And, we can get there, but it depends on how soon you need it. You will also come across people who have experience writing for lots of different audiences, and that case is often good if they've got strong experience. If they're brand new and they've only got 6 months, a year experience writing generally, and then they're saying, oh, I've worked for enterprise, oh, I've worked for, the mum and dad shop, oh, I've done this, these are all my different audiences. Yeah, they haven't really delved into any of them very well enough to know them. So Yes, think about who they have served. Ideally, you don't want someone who has only served your audience because they still haven't demonstrated that ability to think outside the box and learn more audiences and things. Of course, when you're brand new to the industry, you still need a break. So you might want to think about them. But it's really, what experience do they have writing for your audience? At Engage, we do focus more on the B2B audiences, but we do cover consumer audiences as well. But there are some audiences that I wouldn't be comfortable taking on, like the fidget spinners. There are some audiences that I don't know well enough to approach and target. So, I probably wouldn't take on a project at this moment supporting retirement homes where they're targeting the audience of pensioners, where they were targeting the pensioners' retirees' children. I would probably think about that. But the actual old people looking at moving into a retirement village, I probably wouldn't focus on that because I don't know that audience well enough. I've not written for that audience before. So think about, who it is that they can write for. And then that is what helps you decide who you should be hiring. Beyond all of that, beyond industry, beyond audience, beyond testimonials and reviews and case studies, the questions that you want to be asking yourself when choosing a freelancer or a content agency to hire, there are one or two more questions. Number one, have you seen a range of their writing? Have you seen their work? You might not like it for your business, but does it work for the businesses that they've written for? That's number one. And number two, which is possibly the most important consideration in hiring any freelancer or any agency at all. Do you like them? Do you think that you can work with them? Do you think that you can hop on a call and not vent to your friends afterwards about how annoying this person is? Could you comfortably talk to them for half an hour or an hour about business, about what you want? Do you think that they're going to take your feedback well, or are they going to get really upset? Are they going to get defensive? Are they going to just take it all on board and not talk to you about it? How did they work with you? How do they come across to you? Is this someone you want to work with? Because there is nothing worse than working with someone you cannot stand. There's nothing worse than working with someone who you can't communicate with, who just drives you crazy. I'm not saying you need to find a best friend, because that's not what this is. This is business. This is, working with people. I'm saying you need to find someone that you like enough to check in with, to talk with, to, have those how are your weekend kind of conversations, because that's an important part of the client relationship, believe it or not. You also need to find someone that you trust to deliver what they need to deliver, what they've agreed to deliver on time. And you need to hire someone who's going to make you feel good, who's going to make you look good to your audience, to your bosses, to those around you, because that's half of why you hire us. You hire us to make you look good and to sell shit. But, that's what you're looking for. So I probably should have turned this around and started with all the things you're looking for rather than all the things you're not looking for. But I hope you found this helpful anyway. Do let me know if you've got any thoughts on this or if you need some help. Obviously, I'm not the right agency for everyone. Engage is not the right agency for everyone. I recognize that, and I just want to make sure that you recognize that not everyone's the right fit, and who you thought might have been the right fit might not be. And there might be a reason if you're upset or unhappy with the work being done by the agency or the freelancer that you've hired, there might be a reason for that. Either that they're too close, or you just don't like them, or, whatever else it is. If you have any questions, any further thoughts, any comments, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to get in touch. You can also hit us up and leave a review. I'd love to hear your thoughts on our Unpopular Opinion alert. So hit us up with a review. I believe the link is lovethepodcast.com/content about content. All right, and that's it for this week. I do apologize. I'm not sure if I said it before, but I do apologize for missing last week. Things were just a bit crazy around here, but we'll be back again next week. and look forward to speaking to you then. All right, bye.